on to Pointly from the month of March. Mammatus clouds, that is, Mammatus cumulus, refers to clouds, generally cumulonimbus rain clouds, that have a cellular patterns pouches hanging underneath the base of the cloud. According to WMO, International Cloud Atlas, Mama is a cloud feature rather than a species or variety of cloud. That is, WMO does not classify them as distinct class of clouds, but as a feature that develops on a class of cloud like cumulonimbus. The lumpy undersides are formed by cold air sinking downwards from the pockets. This contrasts with the usual puff of the cloud formed through the upward convection of warm air. Salt pans are natural landscapes in which area of flat land is covered with salt and other minerals. Salt pans are formed due to evaporation of water from bodies like lake or ponds in desert and arid regions where the rate of evaporation exceeds the rate of recharge or precipitation, leaving behind salts and minerals. World's most well-known salt flat is the Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia, which contains more than half of the planet's lithium reserve. In India, salt pans are found in Rann of Kutch, Gujarat. Salt pans have the characteristic pentagonal or hexagonal patterns on their surface. A new study has explained this on the basis of complex interaction of existing salts, water, and underlying soil through convection cells. Drying up of the Venetian canals. Venice is a city located in the northern Italy. The city is located over 118 small islands spread over the shallow Venetian lagoon. Venetian lagoon is enclosed bay that lies between the mouth of Po and Piave rivers. Lagoon is a water body that is separated from a larger water body through some kind of land formations like reef or barrier peninsula. The Venetian lagoon is separated from the Adriatic Sea. The city of Venice is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and is famous for elaborate networks of canals. The canals of Venice are drying up due to extreme dry weathers and less snowfalls in the Alps, which provides water to the Po River. Windsor Framework. The UK government has reached a deal with EU on the post-Brexit trade rules that will govern the Northern Irelands. The Windsor Framework will replace the Northern Ireland Protocol. The island of Ireland is divided into Republic of Ireland, that is a sovereign country and a member of EU, and the Northern Ireland, which is part of the United Kingdom. Northern Ireland shares a land boundary with Ireland, over which goods move freely because there is no checkpoints. After Brexit, the UK and the EU agreed that inspection of goods would be conducted between Great Britain, that is England, Scotland and Wales, and the Northern Ireland. This effectively creates a custom border between the two different parts of UK. Northern Ireland and the Great Britain. The Windsor Framework is aimed at significantly reducing the number of checks. It proposes two-lane system for checks, that is green lane and a red lane, on goods arriving in Northern Ireland from Great Britain. Green for products that will remain in the Northern Ireland with no paperwork, and red for the goods that might go to Ireland as well, which will be subject to checks. Moving on to Chicago Convention of 1944. The Convention on International Civil Aviation, Chicago Convention 1944, laid down the foundation for standards and procedures for peaceful global air navigation. Its objective is the development of international civil aviation in a safe and orderly manner. With equality of opportunity in establishing air transport service, it led to the creation of International Civil Aviation Organization, which is a specialized agency of UN that coordinates the principles of and techniques of international air navigation. Article 3 of the convention refrains members states from resorting to the use of weapons against civil aircrafts and flights. The Union Cabinet recently approved ratification of the three protocols relating to the amendments in the convention. Air Services Agreement. It is a bilateral agreement that to allow international commercial air transport service between signatories. The Air Service Agreement are based on the Chicago Convention. They work on the basis of reciprocity and fair and equal opportunity, and provide the legal framework for scheduled air services between two countries. The Air Services Agreement specifically specify the entitlements of the designated airlines of both countries in terms of frequency of operations, number of seats, points of calls, etc. The Union Cabinet recently approved signing of the ASA with Guyana. Framework mechanism for mutual recognition and qualification. India and Australia have signed a framework mechanism for mutual recognition of qualification. Its aim is to help ease the mobility of students and professionals between the two countries. It covers both educational and skill qualifications of the two countries and mutually recognizes various levels of education and skill qualifications. The scope of the Australia India Education Council has been widened to include cooperation in skill development. AIEC is the principal binational body for driving Australia India education, training, and research agenda. It is co chaired by Australian and Indian education ministers. Quad Working Group on Counter-Terrorism Group. Quad foreign ministers have issued a joint statement. They have announced setting up a Quad working group on counter-terrorism to explore measures to counter new and emerging forms of terrorism, radicalization, and violent extremism. The group called for lasting peace in Ukraine. This is the first reference to Ukraine by the group focused on countering Chinese aggression in the Indo-Pacific. Raisana Security Dialogues. The second Raisana Security Dialogues was held recently. It is a conference of intelligence and security chiefs and top officials from around the world. It is organized by RNAW, that is Research and Analysis Wing, and the National Security Council Secretariat. The discussions were focused on global security encompassing counter-terrorism, radicalization, drugs trafficking, illegal arms smuggling, and others. It is modeled on the lines of Munich Security Conference and Singapore's Shangri-La Dialogue. It is held along the Raisana Dialogue. Raisana Dialogue is India's flagship conference on geopolitics and geostrategy. It is organized by Ministry of External Affairs in collaboration with Observer Research Foundation. The Foreign Terrorist Organization FTO is designation by US government for non-US organizations that are deemed to be involved in terrorist activities. Under Section 219 of US Immigrations and Nationality Act, the Secretary of State can designate an organization an FTO if the organization engages in terrorist activities and threatens the security of the US or its nationals. The US President and US Congress are debating over the designation of Wagner Group fighting for Russia in Ukraine as an FTO. New battalions for ITBP. Cabinet Committee on Security has approved the rising of 7 new battalions of the Indo-Tibetan Border Police. ITBP is a central armed police force functioning under the Ministry of Home Affairs. It was raised in 1962 and is a border guarding police force specialized in high altitude operations. The ITBP guards 3,488 kilometer long India-China border from Karakoram Pass in Ladakh to Jhachepla in Arunachal Pradesh. ITBP was initially raised under the CRPF Act. In 1992, Parliament enacted the ITBPF. Its motto is Shaurya, Dridhta, Karm, Nishtha, that is valor, determination, and devotion to duty. Gorakhpur Nuclear Power Plant, Haryana. The Gorakhpur Nuclear Power Plant, Fatehabad, Haryana, is under construction phase. The capacity under construction is 1.4 gigawatts and will be expanded to 2.8 gigawatts in future capacity. 1.4 gigawatt capacity is expected to be operational by 2028. Controlled re-entry of satellite. ISRO has brought down Megha Tropoquis 1 satellite in a controlled manner after the end of its life. Usually it takes 20 to 30 years for satellite debris after useful life from LEO to fall into atmosphere under gravitational pull. A controlled re-entry is possible only for satellites in the LEO, that is low Earth orbit. It involves deorbiting the satellites to very low altitudes to ensure the impact occurs within targeted safe zone. This is done through orbital maneuver with the reserve fuel. It is not possible for satellites in the geosynchronous orbit as they are too high and reserve fuel requirements will be too high. ISRO has brought down the Megha Tropoquis 1 satellite as part of its commitment to United Nations Interagency Space Debris Coordination Committee. Following the end of its mission life, the UN guideline states that at the end of life, satellites should be deorbited, preferably through controlled re-entry to a safe impact zone or by bringing it to an orbit where the orbital lifetime is less than 25 years. Mega Tropiquez satellite. Mega Tropiquez 1 was a joint mission developed by ISRO and French Space Agency CNES for tropical weather and climate studies and studying the water cycle and energy exchange in tropics. It provided data for climate scientists to fine tune their climate models. The satellite was launched in Leo in 2011. The mission was initially planned to operate for 3 years, but it was extended later as it continued to deliver key data about climate for a decade. Cryogenic engines. ISRO has successfully conducted the flight acceptance hot test of CE-20 cryogenic engine. It will power the cryogenic upper stage of LMV-3 launch vehicle for the Chandrayaan-3 mission. It has been developed by the Liquid Propulsion System Center at ISRO. Cryogenic engines typically use liquid oxygen, which liquefies at minus 183 degrees Celsius, and liquid hydrogen, which liquefies at minus 253 degrees Celsius. LH2 acts as a fuel, while LOX acts as the oxidizer that explosively reacts with hydrogen, producing thrust. Cryogenic engines are highly efficient and provide better thrust for each kilogram of fuel compared to solid and liquid propellants. However, they required advanced engineering capacity due to extremely low temperature. Lunar time zone. The European Space Agency has proposed to establish a separate time zone for Moon. There are several lunar missions, that is India, US, Europe, Japan, Russia, China, etc., in operation, which follow time of their respective countries. For smooth interaction and communication among missions, the current system is unsustainable and the missions will need to operate on a standardized time. Lunar time zone will streamline the contact among the various countries and the entities. However, there will be challenges in establishing lunar time zones because clock runs faster on the moon than on Earth, gaining about 56 microseconds every day due to weaker gravity. Further, the ticking occurs differently on lunar surface than in lunar orbit. ALMA telescope, that is Atacama Large Millimeter Submillimeter Array Telescope, is a set of is set to get software and hardware upgrades that will help it collect much more data and produce sharper images. It is a radio telescope comprising 66 antenna located in Atacama Desert of northern Chile at an elevation of 5,000 meters. It studies celestial objects at millimeter and submillimeter wavelength. They can penetrate through dust clouds, can detect extremely faint radio signals, and help astronomers examine dim and distant galaxies and stars. It is located in Atacama Desert because it is one of the driest place and atmospheres is free of moisture. MAIMA mission. NASA has announced its partnership with Italian space agency ASI to build and launch multi-angle imager for aerosol mission. The aim of the mission is to investigate the health impact of air pollution in the world's most polluted cities. Its primary goal is to benefit societal health. The targeted areas under the mission are major urban centers across the world, including Los Angeles, Atlanta, Boston, Rome, Barcelona, Beijing, Johannesburg, New Delhi, and Tel Aviv. Deodar meteorite. In 2022, a meteorite fell over the two villages in Deodar Taluka of Banaskunt, Gujarat. Analysis of the meteorite has revealed it to be a rare, unique specimen of aburite. It is the only second recorded aburite meteorite in India. The first was in 1852 in Basti, Uttar Pradesh. Arborite meteorites are coarse-grained igneous rocks that were formed in oxygen-poor conditions. They contain variety of exotic minerals that are not found on Earth. Scientists are opinion that they could be from the asteroid 3103 Eager or from planet Mercury. Kodaikanal Solar Observatory. It is a solar observatory owned and operated by Indian Institute of Astrophysics. It is located on the southern tip of Palni Hills, 4 kilometers from Kodaikanal, Tamil Nadu. The solar data collected by the observatory is also the oldest continuous series of its kind in India. The data have been digitized and made available for community use. This superconductor is a material exhibiting superconductivity. Superconductivity is the phenomena where the electrical resistance of material becomes zero. It means electricity can flow through a superconductor with zero loss. A material becomes a superconductor when it is cooled below its critical temperature, usually less than minus 260 degrees Celsius. These temperatures can exist only in laboratories, hence superconductors have limited commercial applications at present. Red matter. Researchers at the University of Rochester has created a new superconductor material called red matter. It has been formed by combining lithium, which is a rare earth metal, with hydrogen and nitrogen. The material's hue changed from blue to red as it was compressed, hence named red matter. It can operate at room temperature and lower pressures, approximately 10,000 atmosphere, than previously discovered superconducting materials. It can be used in making long lasting batteries, more power efficient power grids, cheaper magnets for use in nuclear fusion reactors, and high speed trains. Forever chemicals, perfluoroalkali and polyfluoroalkali substances are class of 12,000 chemicals often used to make consumer products that are resistant to water, stains, heat, like non-stick cookware, water repellent clothing and fabric, cosmetic, firefighting materials, etc. They are called forever chemicals because they do not break down naturally. PFAs remain in environment for long and can migrate long distances through air and water. PFAs can accumulate inside human and animals. Scientists have found PFA in thick ice in Svalbard, Norway, north of Arctic Circle. Data embassy. A data embassy refers to a server resource owned and maintained by a nation state outside its territorial boundaries, according to its own law. The idea is to ensure the normal functioning of a state and its digital services in case of cyber attack, natural disaster, etc. They enjoy diplomatic immunity. Data embassies are safe zones to store data for friendly nations. These are These are beneficial for countries wanting to diversify the location of their data storage without losing jurisdiction control over it. The government of India is likely to allow only non-personal data sets to be stored in data embassies. Real-time train information system. Indian Railway has launched real-time train information system project to enable real-time tracking of movement of trains with assistance of satellite imagery. Indian Railways has taken bandwidth from ISRO and integrated their system with NAVIC and Bhuvan. NAVIC is ISRO's regional navigation system, and Bhuvan is a web based utility which provides users with map based content for tracking. Every locomotive is fitted with a device and a SIM, which communicates train's real position to satellite and feedback is received. Real time tracking will be useful during accidents, floods, landslips, when there is a need to know precise location of a train to provide help and relief. New varieties of wheat. Indian Agricultural Research Institute under ICAR have developed three varieties of wheat, that is HDSCW18. It was artificially notified in 2016. It has potential wheat yielding over the 7 ton per hectare. Oh, fuck. It is 110 centimeters taller, making it prone to bending and lodging. HD3410 released in 2022. It has higher yield potentials, about 7.5 tons per hectare, with lower plant height, that is 100 to 105 centimeters. HD3385, it has the same yield as HD3410, but it has the least lodging prone and most amenable for early sowing. IITR 0639 researchers at Indian Institute of Technology Roorkee have found a new antibacterial molecule named IITR 0693. It is novel antibacterial module that could help fight against drug resistant infections. It has shown potent antibacterial activity against a wide range of gram-positive and gram-negative bacteria, including some of the most problematic drug-resistant strain. VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor, is a signaling protein that promotes the growth of new blood vessels as babies grow inside womb or after injury. In case where blood vessels are obstructed, VEGF promotes the creation of new blood vessels to bypass the blocked vessels. VEGF is unregulated in many tumors and hence give indications of probability of cancers. Upregulation is the process by which a cell increases its response to a substance or signals from outside the cell to carry out specific functions. Endothelium. The endothelium is a monolayer of endothelial cells and constitute the inner cellular lining of blood vessels. And lymphatic system. The endothelium controls the blood fluidity and it's a major factor in regulating immunology, inflammation, and angiogenesis. We'll cover the rest of the topics in the second part of this video. That'll be it for this part.